Get set to go racing here around the Dubai Autodrome circuit. So for those watching qualifying yesterday, we saw it was an excellent pole time from Andre Lotterer, who was quickest by quite a margin, by over 2 seconds in qualifying, in the red and white Porsche RS Spider, which you can see to the left of the shot on pole position. Alongside him on the front row of the grid is the Pescarolo 01 LMP1, which is a man who drove it in period in the year he also raced for the very first time at Le Mans, and that is Emmanuel Collard on the front row of the grid. You've also then got the second of the two Porsche RS Spiders, Charlie Samani in the Van Merkstein car, and the Ferrari alongside it, which is the Ferrari 333 SP, which is, I think, one of my favourite cars in the mix. That one in particular is going to be one to watch with Mathieu Vassilier, someone who's been quite prominent in LMP1 circuits, particularly racing for the factory Alpine outfit. He starts in fourth in that beautiful Ferrari. We'll listen to it wail. You see it there. It's quite a distinctive shape, being the 90s prototype amongst the 2000s prototypes and GT cars. The BMW safety car heads off onto its rolling lap, and it will take the 9-car field off to its run. Now, Collard's car's got going. As for Andre Lotterer, hasn't quite got going just yet. In fact, it's just trickling away now, I think, but there is a yellow flag there, and I think if he can't get the car going, everyone else will have to try and find a way around him. I think he finally has at least got the Porsche RS Spider into gear, has to quickly put his foot down to catch up with Emmanuel Collard at the front of the field. So they head off then for their one and only formation lap before 40 minutes plus 1 lap of racing here at Dubai Autodrome. This is how the grid's set. Once he eventually gets himself back to the front, it will be Andre Lotterer who starts on pole position in the number 27 ex-Horag Racing Porsche RS Spider, and he will start from pole. Alongside him on the front row of the grid, the ex-Works Pescarolo 01 LMP of Emmanuel Collard, the very car that he also shared in period in that race with Jean-Christophe Pouillon and Romain Dumas. Second row of the grid is the second of the Porsche RS Spiders, the number 34 Van Merkstein car, which won several races in its class in the Le Mans series and also Le Mans 24 Hours in LMP2 that year. There he is, the white and purple car in shot. And then alongside him on the second row of the grid will be Mathieu Vassilier, Works Alpine driver, and he's in that incredibly beautiful Ferrari 333 SP V12. Fifth position on the grid is the first of our GT cars, and that's Stuart Hall and the South African Jordan Grogor in the Gulf liveried number 007 Aston Martin DBR9, also a V12, and a fellow V12 is Francois Perraudot, multiple-time GTE and World Endurance Champion. He starts at 6th on the grid in the Maserati MC12 GT1, just at the top of the shot. 7th fastest in qualifying, Nicolas Joffre in the ex-BMS Scuderia Italia run Ferrari 550 GTS, the car originally built by ProDrive. And 8th on the grid is going to be the last of the GT cars, Jack Leconte, who Jack himself has experienced GT racing himself, having raced in FIA GT and Le Mans and also in Porsche Carrera Cup. He's in the thunderous Celine S7R with that throaty 4 V8. And then at the back of the grid, Olivier Huez, who's a former French catering champion, has raced in V2V as well in his driving experience, and he will start at the back of the grid in 9th in the blue Lola B2K40, the car which started racing back in 2000, that chassis when it was first commissioned, and carried on racing all the way through to as late as 2006. So this should be quite a fun race in itself, 40 minutes plus 1 lap, and this really does evoke some memories of watching Le Mans and the Le Mans series, ALMS, and all different kinds of sports car prototype championships from over the years. Some incredible names, very experienced as well, including two of the best up at the front of the grid. You've got Emmanuel Collard in the red and white Porsche RS Spider on pole position. Of course, in terms of the credentials of Andre Lotterer, I mean, he's a Le Mans winner 3 times with Audi, 2011, 2012 and 2014. He was 2009 Super GT champion as well in Japan, and the last couple of years he's had that association with Porsche, being a Formula E driver. As for Emmanuel Collard, well, he was 2020 GTE and World Endurance champion. He's been LMES champion in 2011, 2006, 2005. He won the Daytona 24 Hours in 2005 as well, and of course he's a 2-time class winner at Le Mans. So GT and prototypes from the 2000s all set to get underway for 40 minutes plus 1 lap. It is Porsche and Pescarolo on the front row, Porsche and Ferrari on the second row, then Aston Martin, Maserati, Ferrari, Celine and Lola. It really does evoke sounds and sights of the mid-2000s in the Le Mans series and the Le Mans 24 Hours. Watch for the red lights at the top of the screen. It's going to be Lotterer versus Collard down towards turn 1. An explosion of power and noise down towards turn 1 for the first time as we get underway in the GT and prototypes for the 2000s. Immediately Collard jumps to the front with the V12 Ferrari Mathieu Vassilier in the slipstream down towards turn 1. Collard will get the whole shot and turns Pescarolo into P1. He's got the Ferrari right on his tail into the right-hander. And they come up now through turns 2, 3 and 4. It's Pescarolo that leads. It's Ferrari in second place. Another great start from Lotterer for the rolling start. And up to third, incredibly, is the Aston Martin DBR9. So he's already amongst the prototypes. That's an incredible start for the Stuart Hall and Jordan Grogor Aston Martin into P3 ahead of both the Porsche RS Spiders. Up now through turns 5 and 6 for the first time. A couple of the cars towards the rear find their feet a little bit. The Salee and the Ferrari, but what a jump that was from the Aston Martin DBR9. And really, Andre Lotterer was not on his toes at all. It was more a better start for Emmanuel Collard, and then a great jump also for the Ferrari. Down the back straight they go. Now we see the power of the LMP2 Porsche starting to come back into effect, but credit where credit's due. That Aston Martin's got some mumbo in a straight line, keeping with the Porsches, and the Porsches can't out-drag it down on the run towards turn 10. See Mathieu Vassivière there in the oldest car in the field as Collard runs a little bit wide. And now we see here Vassivière trying to get a move here to get the switch back out of turns 10 and 11 to make the undercut and make the pass on Collard. I have a feeling, this being a 40-minute race, if they can keep as close as they are now, it might be quite an entertaining battle at the front of the field. And incredibly, the difference in age in these cars is about roughly 10 or 11 years. It's incredible to think that the Ferrari 333 SP was first commissioned and raced back in 1995 when it was built to the World Sports Car Championship regulations. First made its appearance at Daytona in the 24-hour race in 1995, and since then it's been racing all over in the FIA Sports Car Championship and all other different championships, including Le Mans, Daytona, Sebring, and even over in America quite prominently. So yeah, good driving by the Hall and Grogor Aston Martin, still holding off the second of the two Porsche RS Spiders, as now Andre Lotterer, who was quickest in qualifying by about 2 seconds, is chasing after the top three. So Collard leads then in the Pescarolo, second place for the Ferrari 333 SP on Mathieu Vassivière. Andre Lotterer is currently third in the Porsche, recovering after his poor start from the pole. And it's fourth for the Hall and Grogor Aston Martin, fifth for Charlie Samani in the white and purple Van Merkstein Porsche RS Spider, which won its class at Le Mans back in 2008. Verstappen, of course, who is the father of two-time F1 world champion Max Verstappen. I have a feeling through the corners here, that Porsche might be a little bit quicker than the Aston, because it's a little bit heavy and slightly more cumbersome, but then it's not necessarily a heavy car as the Aston. It's certainly quite well stripped out. Meanwhile, just behind them we see Francois Perrodo, who, as we talked about, is a three-time GTE AM world champion. He was also moved into the LMP2 category and moved up into the Pro-Am class and won the championship there this year. Meanwhile, into second place goes Andre Lotterer in the Porsche. Here's a classic prototype battle, Ferrari versus Porsche, and here comes Vassivière back down the inside in that thunderous wailing Ferrari V12. He's down the inside line towards turn 10, but Lotterer will have the better grip around the outside, and he holds onto the position, gets the power down, and says, see you later, Mathieu, I'm off to go and chase Emmanuel off the road. And he's now up into second place to try and chase after and catch the Pescarolo, who's trying to escape as best he can before Lotterer can get to him. So Collard in the Pescarolo leads. Lotterer up to second now in the first of the two RS Spiders. And then it's Vassivière in the V12 Ferrari in third. And still Charlie Samani now, I think he's holding on to fourth position in the second of the two prototypes. One thing to watch out for is going to be that Emmanuel Collard, particularly in qualifying, I noticed a lot, is that he was very heavy on the front brakes and tended to lock the inside front of that car a lot during the qualifying and free practice session. So if he carries on doing that too much, his tyres might turn something that resembles a 50 pence piece, never mind a rubber tyre. Down the pit straight goes the Pescarolo, with the Judd engine wailing in the back, followed by the Porsche, and then that glorious sounding Ferrari as it passes the pit lane. Samani into fourth, and then the Hall and Grogor Aston Martin doing well to keep pace with the LMP2 cars there in P5. There were occasions back in the day with the GT1 cars where they would be as quick as the LMP2s if they were well driven. So not really surprised too much when you think about it that the Aston Martin DBR9 is keeping up there. Seeing on screen, if you're watching on any of the monitors around the circuit or indeed on the live stream, you're seeing that Andre Lotterer, they're trying to bring the gap down. Now in terms of lap times, the last lap, first proper flying lap around after the rolling start, Emmanuel Collard did a 154.314, and it was 0.3 quicker than Andre Lotterer. That said, on this lap in the first sector, Lotterer is about 3.5–4 quicker than the Pescarolo at this point. So he's now on the charge to try and bring that gap down from 2.6 seconds to try and reclaim the lead that he lost at the start after effectively being asleep at the start of the race and got swamped by Collard and Vassivière and also Samani, and even almost at one point the Hall and Grogor Aston Martin, which is now being left behind by the prototype battle for third and fourth between the Ferrari and the second of the Porsches. Quick checking on the rest of the order. You've got sixth for Francois Perrodo in the black and turquoise Vitaphone Racing liveried Maserati MC12 GT1. 7th place for Jack Lecomte. He is in the Labra competition, sitting in S7R. 8th at the moment is Olivier Huez in the 2000 Lola B2K40. And then 9th place is Nicolas Joffre, who rounds off the top 9 cars. We see they're just a little wayward there. There's a bit of smoke or dust being kicked up on the inside of turn 14. I wonder if that was possibly Collard locking up again into that hairpin. And I think that caught Vasilio a bit off guard there, because now he's got Charlie Samani all over him. Takes a look at the mirror and finds the big white and purple Porsche all over him as they turn into the last corner. This should be intriguing. The Ferrari should have a bit more poke in a straight line to hold him off, but in the slipstream, the Porsche's certainly going to try and hold as close as he can. And the gap has come down at the front. It really has come down. It was 2.6, it's now 0.3 of a second. You'll see that if you're watching around the circuit, particularly on the pit straight, how close it was down towards turn 1. So Lotterer on the charge then. Got the gap down by 2.3 seconds. The last lap time for his comparison, it was Emmanuel Collard did a 1:53.7 to go personal best. Lotterer pumped in a 1:51.5. He's absolutely flying out there by practically 2.2 seconds he took out of him. So looks as though I think that it's only a matter of time and possibly when rather than if Lotterer can get past Emmanuel Collard. But I'm sure that Emmanuel, whether this might be just a historic race or not, he will give as good as he can get. Case in point, here they are down the back straight, down towards turn 10. Now I think the Pescarello's got a little bit more power in a straight line, but I wonder if the slightly lighter, slightly more nimble Porsche might have a bit of an edge in the corners, I wonder. These two are doing a great back and forth duel for pole position yesterday. And I wonder if they're going to carry on the same here. And here comes Lotterer trying to dupe him up the inside line. Now the next corner is going to be a right-hander up now for turn 12. But if he can go around the outside, Lotterer will try and dare to do so. But the wily old fox that is Emmanuel Collard will try and hold him up as much as he can. They're going to go side by side again now towards turn 13. And again, just the punch off the corner from the Pescarello allows him to hold on to the place as he goes through the flat-out kink of turn 13. Back under brakes again, and once more, that is Collard locking up. He's done that several times now. Has to square off the corner, and the much smoother, more consistent line of Lotterer off of turn 15 helps him get him right under the rear wing as they're coming through. If you're watching at the grandstands, they're going to come through turn 16 now. They put both cars nose to tail as they come back onto the pit straight, separated by virtually nothing. Here comes Lotterer up the inside on the exit. They're going to be side by side again, wheel to wheel down the pit strip, but Lotterer realises he hasn't got the straight line speed. He has to dart back in to get the slipstream. Now down towards turn 1, Pescarello Judd versus Porsche LMP2. Down towards the first corner, this long downhill right hand that takes the way through. And still Collard holding off Lotterer. This is fantastic too. Taskmaster sports car racing, 2 Le Mans legends in many cases. Collard only really won his class at Le Mans a couple of times. Whereas, of course, I say only, but of course he's had plenty of experience in prototypes and GTs, whereas Lotterer, of course, is a 3-time Le Mans winner, showing that up the inside here. He's got to move up the inside into turn 6. Beautiful pass to dive up the inside, and Collard had no choice. He had to yield, he had to let him through. However, now as they come through turn 8, through the banking, through the bowl up towards the back straight of turn 9, I wonder, will the better pace of the Pescarello help him get a little bit closer down the back straight? Well, I did say possibly the more nimbler Porsche might be better in the corners. That's been proven so, because already you can see that Lotterer is starting to pull away here as they come down towards turn 10. Now Collard is closing back in with that superior amount of horsepower, but it looks as though now that Lotterer is in front, it might well be a case of bye-bye Emmanuel, because I think that the pace in that car, given that he was 2 seconds quicker than anyone else, at least in qualifying, suggests that Lotterer has got the measure here to be able to pull away. And already you can see visibly, you'll see it as they come through the end of the following lap, watching on the main pit straight, that he will start to pull away. Looking back in the field, if you're watching the live stream, we're watching this possible 3-car battle developing for 7th, 8th and 9th. This is between the number 50 Celine S7R that's just going down towards turn 1 of Jack Lecomte. He's being followed by Nicolas Joffre in the ex-BMS Scuderia Italia Ferrari 550 GTS. Then Olivier Huez in the Lola. He's not too far away from them either. And they're separated by around about 2.7 seconds at this point. So this could be an intriguing battle, particularly when we get to the pit stops. And both of those GT cars, well, initially they did have the Lola just behind them. It's starting to fall away just a little bit now, so it could be a scrap between Celine and Ferrari. We've seen this plenty of times in the mid-2000s in the FIA GT Championship. So a bit of a reliving here as we come through turn 8. I wonder if the Ferrari will start to close in here. Let's see if there's a possibility that Joffre might have an opportunity to close in here on Lecomte, but then you have to remember, another car that's got plenty of punch in a straight line is that throaty V8 Celine. I have to say, Joffre is keeping well on the slipstream down towards turn 10. He's getting quite close. Very close, in fact. The V12 Ferrari doing enough here, and I think you might have a look up the inside into turn 10. He's speculative. He thinks about it. He might force Lecomte to go the wider line through turn 10. He's going to try and pull himself alongside around the outside, and Lecomte says, well, go on then, after you, Nicolas. And I have to say, almost gave him that a little bit too easy. Yes, these are older cars, and yes, it's not a demonstration race, but it's more of a casual sort of fun race in many cases. But still, you'd have thought maybe that Jack would have put up a bit more of a fight there, but he seems to just open the door and let the Ferrari waltz through around the outside. I think he realised possibly either he was either beaten or didn't want to fight it too much. Now, here's something interesting. The gap between Lotterer and Collard at the end of the lap just gone was 2.5 seconds. I'm looking on the stream now. That's not 2.5 seconds anymore. So one of either Lotterer's just either made a mistake or backed off just a tiny bit, and just allowing Collard to stay with him so they can have a bit of a play out on track. Just watching on stream once again the aftermath of the battle between Lecomte and Joffre. So now it's the Ferrari ahead of the Saleen. We're coming up towards half distance now. So they're under 8 3/4 minutes to go in this GT and Prototypes 2000 race. The first of two this weekend here at the Gulf Historic Dubai GP Revival, the second ever running of this event. And for those who are here watching on the live stream on Motorsport TV, who are watching on YouTube, and also, of course, are watching around the circuit as well, thank you very much for being here. Of course, it's crucial that you guys are here to continue, make this event a success, to continue to make it happen. Now, meanwhile, I think the only success which Charlie Samani's hoping for here is the battle for third place to get past Mathieu Vaxivière, because just coming out the final corner now for those watching on the pit straight, here they come in the scrap for third, and you know that Ferrari's going to have much more power in a straight line. Samani will keep in the slipstream, but you just know that putting his foot down, Vaxivière takes one look and thinks, live with this, Charlie, and he pulls a couple more car lengths on him on the run down towards turn 1. You can see visibly how much faster in a straight line that Ferrari is. And of course Mathieu Vaxivière, who is a renowned LMP1 driver in the last couple of seasons with Alpine, is absolutely no slouch at all. Of course, Mathieu Vaxivière, FI World Endurance Championship with Alpine's LMP1 squad. And Charlie Samani, I mean, his experience, he's done quite a bit of Le Mans, Michelin Le Mans Cup. He knows this circuit quite well after you saw that Sahel and Alex were speaking to him on the grid, and he's done quite a bit of the Dubai 24 Hours as well. So it's a circuit he knows quite well. Not necessarily the car that he knows well, but he was quite grateful for the opportunity to drive this, as of course was Andre Lotterer, because of course we see here, speaking of which, change for position, so we'll come back to that in a second. We'll say about Andre Lotterer was privileged enough to drive this car, now that he has the association with Porsche and Formula E, and currently driving at the moment, staring once again at the gearbox of Emmanuel Collard, because whilst we're looking at scrap for third, change on from a lead between Collard and Lotterer. I'm not sure as we cut away there that there's going to be another change potentially between the two. Here we look back at Francois Perrodo, three-time GTE AM World Endurance Champion in 2016, 2020 and last year, and also he was the LMP2 Pro-Am Champion this year, so definitely quite a prominent driver in the Pro-Am ranks. And still the scrap for third goes on here between Ferrari versus Porsche. It's an age-old scrap, even though there is about 9 to 11 years age difference between these two cars. Undoubtedly, that Ferrari has something very special in terms of pace. Turn 14, still Vaxivière versus Samani, and indeed we can confirm that Collard and Lotterer have swapped places across the line. They're still nose to tail down towards turn 1, so got quite a bit of a race in our hands here. I'm sure these two are loving every minute of this. It's really good, and have to remember, of course, in the period, this is an LMP1 car versus an LMP2. Now, particularly LMP2 cars were supposed to be slower, but of course, try telling that to Porsche when they made a car which could take the fight in the American Le Mans series to the Audis. And they really could even, on their day, being run by the Penske team, be just as quick, if not quicker. So Porsche really did build a proper little LMP1 giant killer here. He's going to have another chance to look up the inside here. Exiting turn 6, now on the outside for turn 7 into the bowl. And then into the little kink, and now into turn 8 as they turn all the way through onto the back straight once again. They've just put a lap on both Olivier Huez in the Lola and Jacques Lecomte in the Saleen. The next target's going to be putting a lap on Nicolas Joffre's Ferrari 550 GTS. And now down towards turn 10 again. They're practically nose to tail on the brakes on the approach to the hairpin. Wider approach taken from Collard onto the apex. A little tighter for Lotterer, but that seems to work. And again, we talked about the fact that it looks like the Pescarolo has a little bit more of a power advantage, particularly off the corners. But it's possibly through the corners in the middle where the mechanical aero grip is just that little bit stronger for the slightly more nimbler Porsche RS Spider. And I wonder if that's what's helping Andre here as they go side by side again. But once more, Collard puts his foot down and manages to pull a couple more car lengths before they get to turn 13. This really is back and forth between these two, and hopefully it's there. Another big lock-up into turn 14. He can't afford to keep doing that, Manuel Collard, otherwise it will cost him his tyres, and possibly cost him a lot more pace, because Andre Lotterer being a lot more kinder to his tyres here and just swarming all over the back of the Pescarolo, looking one way then the other, but he still can't find a way past. What was the saying? You only need 2 cars to make a race. This is a brilliant race we've got going on here, and again he's got a great one off the final corner, but again watch the Pescarolo here. It comes down the pit straight. They're looking across each other thinking this is going to bring thumbs up to each other. Manuel Collard says, cheers Andre, I'm loving this, we've still got 24 minutes to go. Sticking his thumb up, looking across at him saying thanks for that, I'm having fun with this. You can tell they're really enjoying themselves here in this race. 2 cars, because Manuel Collard back in a car that he knows intimately like the back of his hand. Lotterer, his first time this weekend in a Porsche RS Spider, but making the absolute most of it here. And these two putting on a fantastic show in this first of 2 GT and Prototypes 2000 races. And here comes Lotterer again up the inside into turn 6. And Collard almost seemed to say, after you, Andre, out the inside, and through he went. So I suspect there is an element of play here between these two, I think they're putting on a bit of a show here for the spectators. Of course, it's a competitive race. Of course, there's still less than 24 minutes to go. But I think there's something about these two just enjoying going back and forth here with the lead that's certainly putting on quite the spectacle. Down the back straight towards turn 10. You can see the cars bobbing around on the bumps. That's how stiff and scrub they are as they head down. The car almost chuntering a bit in the braking zone as it sort of bobs up and down. And I think Lotterer either had enough of play time or he decided, right, my turn to lead from the front here. Live with this, Emmanuel. He's going to try and pull away a little bit more here as they come out through turn 14. Sorry, out through turn 12 into turn 13, excuse me. So now the gap is going to pull out a little bit more. It's still Mathieu Vazivière holding off Charlie Samani. Still the battle between Porsche and Ferrari. And again, another huge lockup. Collard keeps locking up big time into turn 14. He's either got the brake bias wrong somewhere, he simply just is pressing a bit too hard, but he's really not doing the tyres any favours. Now then, Lotterer dive for the pits. This will be for his mandatory pit stop. I think the mandatory pit stop time is 3 minutes, if I'm correct. So Lotterer will be in for his scheduled stop. This now gives the chance for Collard to go on to get the overcut to try and get an extra couple of laps in at racing speeds. There he goes. Looks at his mirrors and thinking, oh, where's Andre gone? So now he can enjoy himself by himself out here. Turns in. As I say, this is a car which he raced before a period. His name is on the side of the car cockpit, along with Jean-Christophe Bouillon, the ex-Formula 1 test driver and ex-BTCC racing with Renault. And of course, Romain Dumas, who that would have been in the infancy of his career, but he joined Audi and also Porsche as well, and had the success that he's had. So great memories, of course, for Emmanuel. And what I find fascinating is this battle here even more. Of course, those 2 cars back in period about 2007, 2008. These 2 cars here, you've got this 1996, 1997 Ferrari 333 SP that's pretty much the equal of this Porsche 2008 Porsche RS Spider. You would have thought the newer cars would be that little bit quicker in terms of overall aerodynamics and grip. But I'll tell you what, either it's a compliment to both the design of the car, but also compliment to the ability of Mathieu Vazivière, because he really is getting the roast out of this, and he's not afraid to drive it like it was back in the day when it was a car that was racing in the mid to late 1990s and into the early 2000s. He really is driving it in exactly the same fashion, and that's exactly what we want to see in this weekend. The cars like this being driven as they were back in period, not necessarily just being sort of nannied about on circuit and sort of taken care of. No, you want to be seeing them absolutely properly run as they were before. Pit stops are down this then, so both we've got the Andre Lotterer Porsche, we've also got 2 of our GT cars in for mandatory stops. We've got Francois Perrodo at the back of shot in the Maserati MC12, and just as that's happening, Jacques Leconte is taking the Celine S7R back out onto circuit. He currently sits at the moment in 9th, but of course others like Nicolas Joffre and Olivier Huez have not made their stops yet, as have not several drivers, of course, still at least. Just coming up to half distance now, another huge lockup, so that'll be Emmanuel Collard again. And past the pits goes Collard once more. He's extending his stint by a couple more laps at least. Back into the final corner comes the scrap for second place, so prepare to welcome them back onto the pit straight, ladies and gents. Here they come, Ferrari versus Porsche. There's not many better sounds in the world of sports cars and prototypes than that incredible V12. For those who are in the know or want to know, of course, the engine in this V12 Ferrari 323 SP is pretty much derived from the same kind of V12 that you found in the Ferrari V12 F1 car that we've seen demoing this weekend. And particularly, it was the 1990 engine, which of course as well was formed at the basis of the engine which was also in the Ferrari F50. So that incredible V12 Ferrari engine, which we saw used in around sort of 1989, 1990, got quite the repurposing in a couple of ways. There goes Emmanuel Collard we saw on screen there. And it's got the proper PlayStation and Gran Turismo livery on the car as well. And this car was the first purpose-built Pescarolo, as in Henri Pescarolo used to run his own team, of course, Pescarolo Sport. We see the Aston Martin in, so there's a driver change there. I think maybe Jordan Grogor. Yeah, Jordan Grogor's getting out. Bit of a quick handshake there with Stuart Hall. He says, right, I've had my fun, mate. Your turn. And as that happens, Andre Lotterer is heading out of the pit lane, having completed his mandatory stop. So he will be about a lap and mostly a lap behind or so. He will get out and try and redo that. So what's going to be intriguing here is how much of an advantage, how much of a gap has Emmanuel Collard built up here, and is the advantage enough for him to try and get out in front or just alongside or with the Porsche RS Spider of Andre Lotterer. Now I'm pretty also certain as well, if you look carefully, if you're watching one of the screens on the live stream, through the clear visor of Emmanuel Collard, I'm pretty certain he's racing with sunglasses on, which is not uncommon with some drivers. They do that quite often, but I thought it was quite... In fact, yes, he is wearing sunglasses, so you can see just through the helmet there. That is the essence of cool in a car like this. Emmanuel Collard looking cool as anything, in sunglasses, in an old Pescarolo prototype of his, racing it here at the Gulf Historic, which is a wonderful sight to see. But looking back to the car, so for quite a while, Henri Pescarolo, who for those who know is a wonderful Frenchman who was a Le Mans legend. I think he's had, at one point, he raced in over 30 Le Mans, 32nd or 33 Le Mans starts he had, for one of the most experienced drivers ever throughout the 70s, 80s and 90s, into the 60s a little bit as well. We see some more of the entertainment going on down in the Apex Garden. And after years of modifying what was the Courage C60 chassis, they decided to essentially use that as a bit of a basis and pretty much build their first purpose-built from scratch prototype. And that was the result. And that was one of the main competitors for the Audi R8s at the time, back when they were still dominating. And then you went into the Audi R10s and back in the beginning of the diesel era. And for the petrol-powered cars, they seem to be one of the class of the field, and particularly with drivers like Emmanuel Collard at the wheel. 17.5 minutes left to go in this race. We're looking on the screen at the moment of Jacques Leconte in the Celine. And as for Lotterer, so he is at the moment. Lotterer came back out after his pit stop in 5th position. And Vessivier, Samani and Hall are on the pit lane. So the battle for third, I should say, is in pit lane. So you can see just right at the back of the shot, the rear wing, the red rear wing of the Ferrari. Also in there is the white and purple Porsche. Nicolas Joffre takes the Ferrari 550 GTS back out onto circuit. Also in is the Olivier Huez Lola. And this is now the time when Andre Lotterer, who we're seeing on track now on screen, going to turn 6, this is the time he needs to try and run as quick as he can to try and catch up to Emmanuel Collard, who himself has just come into pit lane to serve his mandatory pit stop from the lead here in this race. So out of the pits goes France Nicolas Joffre. Also in there now with its new incumbent goes the 007 Aston Martin. This is now with Stuart Hall at the wheel, having taken over from Jordan Grogor. Jordan himself, as they were talking to on the grid, former Radical Golf Cup champion, 2-time class champion in the Dubai 24 Hours, so he knows this circuit quite intimately at the back of his hand a little bit. And he's been living, of course, in this region of the world for perhaps sort of over 2 decades, so he certainly knows these circuits incredibly well and has driven here quite regularly in Radicals in the 24 Hour series. Francois Perroda goes across the line, still holding on station in 6th place. As for... and actually running incredibly quickly. Actually, the fastest lap of the race has just gone, I believe. Oh no, sorry. I thought it had gone. I think it's had one of the fastest pit stops. I got confused thinking that the Perrodo Maserati had set the fastest lap of the race. It hasn't. It set the fastest pit stop of the race, which is 3 minutes 23.203. That's where I got a little bit confused. Speaking of fastest out there, fastest first sector of anyone has gone to Andre Lotterer on this current lap alone. So he's on a charge to try and close the gap down to Emmanuel Collard. Top three are currently top three are all in the pit lane together. Lotterer has now leapfrogged himself up to 4th. He's got one more lap to try and close back in on them if he can. So he has to try and push hard here. I imagine that Collard will probably get out first. And then it'll be a battle between Vassiviere and Samani if that scrap continues for the final podium place, whether it'll be a double Porsche podium or a Ferrari. Now, is that the Aston Martin going slowly up towards turn 12? Looks like it wasn't quite at racing speeds. Again, there was a small part of me thinking maybe he was waiting for this Celine so he could have a bit of a playmate out on track somewhere, but it didn't maybe look like that. I'm sure that if Stewart's going to try and drive it, he will try and drive it as hard as possible rather than sit and coast around waiting for somebody else. Just looking at Olivier Huez in the Lola make his way up towards turn 12. He seems to be enjoying himself out there. Not 100% on the history of this car. All I know is that it does have the American Le Mans Series and LMP2 stickers on the side, so it's almost certainly a car that's raced over in the American Le Mans Series. Which chassis it is and when it raced, I have to be honest, the information is not all that clear, but this car made its debut in Le Mans in 2000 with the Multimatic outfit. Of course, Multimatic, if you think about some of the stuff they've done in recent years in particular, they were heads of the successful Ford GTE program, and of course they've also been helping out with some of the one or two of the LMDH manufacturers, providing sort of base chassis for people to use. Now, there's the Aston Martin. I think it's got back up to full speed again by the looks of it, because it's now got the Francois Perrodo Maserati behind it. So maybe Stuart Hall was waiting up a little bit for somebody to have a play with. So now it's going to be a proper old school FIA GT style track between Aston Martin and Maserati by the looks of it. We're not too far away from the Celine either, so maybe we can have a three-way scrap here between Celine versus Maserati versus Aston Martin. Well, here they go on track then. It is for position. This is for 5th overall and for the GT class lead. So those two will go on. As for Andre Lotterer, and he's coasting down the back straight, I wonder, is he waiting for somebody as well? I wonder if he's waiting for another car to have a scrap with. But actually, I think that's Charlie Samani actually. I think someone else is coming to the pit lane also. Can't quite tell exactly who though. Collard has gone back out of the pit, so he's finished his pit stop. But yeah, I noticed the Charlie Samani Porsche was going quite slowly again. Well, he's just going at a reduced pace to just find a couple of cars to play with. I wonder if that's possibly the case. I think he's looking for his mate Mathieu Vassiviere. I think he was enjoying himself battling over third so much that he's decided, right, I want to have a duel with him. But that's, yeah, it's still going at a constant pace. It doesn't look like it's got any kind of a problem, I don't think, maybe. It's simply just cruising along, waiting for his mate in 4th position. Good to see quite a few spectators out in the grandstands, seemingly enjoying the sights and sounds of Golf Historic. Second running after it debuted last year. Now here's a battle we could look forward to here. Look, it's coming through turn 15-16. If you're watching in the grandstands, get ready for this one. We've got Celine versus Aston Martin versus Maserati. I was hoping that Jack Lecomte would put more of a fight up between the two V12s that have just gone past him, but now onto the pit straight comes DBR line versus MC12. I thought it was best I stay quiet as they went past the grandstands, because you want to listen to them more than you want to listen to me, admittedly. So Aston Martin V12 versus Maserati V12 versus Celine, the Ford V8 thundering in the back. Now, as for the front runners, which is noticed on the timing screen, Andre Lotterer has got himself ahead once again in the pit stops of Emmanuel Collard. The only question is, how far ahead is he? We'll get the answer in a second. The answer is... was that Olivier Huez going past? It was, yeah. Right, car 16. That's the reason why he's gone past. So I just spotted it on the timing screen. So Manuel Collard's been given a drive-through penalty, converted to a 30-second time penalty, and that's for a jump start. So it looks like the reason. So it looks like possibly Collard went quicker than Emmanuel Collard was supposed to. Collard went quicker than Andre Lotterer did, quicker than he was supposed to, and got the jump on Lotterer and everyone else. But because he was too quick off the line, he's been given a 30-second penalty. Now, what's interesting with that is that the working out with the gap. So what's happened is that on track, at least, it seems though that Collard is about 5 seconds ahead of Andre Lotterer, but because he's been given that penalty, he's now dropped behind Lotterer in the race in terms of the timing screen. Also, he's then dropped back a further 25 seconds. If you look on the timing screen, if you're watching or following on the timing, you'll see that Collard might well be ahead in terms of track position, but he's actually 25 seconds behind in the result. So on the live timing screen, he's actually way behind. He needs to try and extend that gap as much as he can. Not easy when you've got Andre Losser at the wheel of a Porsche RS Spider looking quite rapid. So that's not really going to work too well for Collard, but I think he's past the point where he might even be caring, really. He'll have that competitive edge, but ultimately he'll just want to get to the end. He'll want to just enjoy himself and just keep on soaking up the atmosphere and soaking up the enjoyment of driving, you know, one of these cars that he drove in period, and getting it back out into competitive action will be fantastic to see. And I really hope that this event, which has an incredible amount of potential, which talk about the amount of potential this event has, I really hope there are teams and drivers who've got cars like these in 2000s prototypes that race in, you know, Masters Endurance Legends or Pater Auto or Racing Masters Historic events. I really hope they watch this event and see the calibre of people, the calibre of cars, the calibre of drivers that are here this weekend, and they do get inspired by it, and they do decide to come and give this event a go and come here next year and bring their cars to it, because it would be wonderful to see more prototypes from the LMP era of the 90s and 2000s and 2010s, more GTs. There's another huge lock up there from Emmanuel Collard into turn 14. He cannot stop locking up those into that corner. I don't think that's actually the reason why. Whether it's his brake bias just isn't working too well, it's he's just hitting the pedal too much, and the car setup just isn't favouring him all too well into that corner in particular. I'm surprised that car's not vibrating to high hell, but over the curves, he heads onto the pit straight. So again, in terms of track position, he's effectively he is ahead. And the timing's changed now, so he's now got that 30-second penalty, but he's also 21 seconds behind on the road anyway. So quite far back in terms of where he should be in the current results. Watching on the screen, Andre Losser, who just put the lap on both Francois Perrodo and Stuart Hall. Stuart Hall in that beautiful Aston Martin DBR9 in that iconic Golf livery. Let's face it, what sports car doesn't look good with a Golf livery on it, whether it's a Ford GT40, a Porsche 917, or indeed an Aston Martin DBR9. It really is a very classy, timeless livery, is Golf. But also the car behind it, the MC12, its iconic livery is out of the Vitaphone days when that team was utterly dominant and always a perennial frontrunner in FIA GT racing. And of course, for those who know, the Maserati MC12 was that quick and that close to the regulations. It effectively was not eligible in many cases and was prohibited to race at Le Mans, mainly because either it couldn't or it was prohibited by the ACO because it just didn't seem to fit exactly the regulations it needed to, or Maserati got willing to compromise in terms of the specification of the car in order to make that work to fit for Le Mans. And anyway, it's the only time you'll ever see one of these cars now race at Le Mans. I think we did have at least one race this year at the Le Mans Classic. Is at historic events like this, and also the Le Mans Classic as well, where we do have a Class 4 but newer cars that can compete there, including the MC12. 7.5 minutes to go. Here outside my commentary box, the beautiful thundery Celine has just rumbled past with Jacques Leconte at the wheel, 8th in the results at the moment. Right now, Andre Losser has a 51.4 second lead on the timing screen. In reality, that will be 21 seconds, plus the 30-second time penalty that Collard has received for his jump start. Second, of course, is the Collard Pescarolo. There it is. Car number 16 heads out of the final corner. Back onto the pit straight again in the Judd. Mathieu Vaxivière holding on to third place. He's looking pretty strong in the podium positions. Now, Charlie Samani seems to have been held up in his pit stop, or held up somewhere on circuit, because he was in that battle for third place. He's now dropped down to 7th, not just behind Mathieu Vaxivière, but behind now the top 3 of the GT cars. That's the Hall and Grosjean Aston Martin in the Golf colours, the Francois Perrodo Maserati that's just there on screen, and then there you've also got Nicolas Joffre. But Joffre is... whereabouts is Joffre? Right, so Samani's actually 2 laps behind, so he's actually not just behind in track position, he's also behind by a couple of laps. So didn't quite catch what happened to him, whether he was just held up a bit more in pit lane. I'm not 100%, but whatever's happened to Charlie Samani, sadly he's been thrown out of contention for a podium place in the prototype category. As you see here, Stuart Hall with a massive lick of flame from the side exhaust of the DBR9 on the downshift, slots past in terms of track position Nicolas Joffre. Ian Turner is still quite far ahead by a lap or so of the Ferrari. Still 6 minutes to go, also just under that. There is the Charlie Samani Van Merkstein Porsche coming out of the final corner, surrounded by GT cars. So Aston Martin, Ferrari, Porsche, Maserati. Either takes you back to the days of the 2000s, or takes you back to the 1950s and 60s when there used to be tons of these cars racing in GT circles, as Samani finds his way up the inside to gain track position on the Nicolas Joffre Ferrari. The gap between Lotterer and Collard has gone back out again for the record by another 3 seconds or so. The gap is now 54.7 seconds. So it looks as though, including the penalty, that essentially Lotterer is, you could say in terms of the result, realistically half a lap ahead of the cars behind. Down towards the right-hander at turn 10, Andre Lotterer, who I guess you could call it a bit of a busman's holiday for him in terms of he's not really, technically not really working, but he's definitely enjoying himself, whilst also in so many ways representing Porsche. But the great thing has been is that watching him battle away with, be a fan first and foremost, has been great. Now then, I need to switch for that for a second, because this battle on track here, effectively, is going to become for track position, because Mathieu Vatsivière is only just behind Emmanuel Collard here. And I have a feeling that now that Vassivier's got his tail up, or rather now that Collard might have been told about his penalty, either way, that Ferrari looks on course for second place if he can pick his way through. So, we've seen what this Ferrari can do against the Porsche RS Spider. Now let's see how the Ferrari stacks up against the Pescarolo that locks up again into turn 8, down to turn 9. They're going to be chasing after this car, Jack LeCompte Celine. They currently sits in 8th at the moment, but now down the pit straight, the back straight, two cars that arguably probably have two of the highest amounts of horsepower out of all the cars on the grid, in particular the prototypes. And Vatsivière just a little bit of distraction, just darts out, tries to put himself into Collard's mirrors, but wasn't going to work that time. Let's see if he can try and claw his way alongside him the next few corners, particularly out of turns 10, up the short hill to 11. Meanwhile, Stuart Hall is almost going defensive here against the Charlie Somani Porsche. If he realises it's not the position, he might be a little bit more courteous to let him through and unlap himself. But again, maybe Stuart Hall with a point to prove here, thinking you might have an LMP2 sunshine, but this GT car can be just as quick, if not a bit quicker in the right hands, i.e. mine. So if you want to get past, whether it's a position or not, you're going to have to do it the hard way. And Somani trying to oblige here in the Van Merkstein Porsche. Another time penalty's come in. It's for Charlie Somani. Right, also one for 52 as well. So there's more penalties being put in here. So, well, there's three more cars have got themselves penalties. So car 34 has a 60-second time penalty. That's for being added after the race for speeding in the pit lane. That's the Charlie Somani Porsche. And then two cars have also been given a 90-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And that's the car 30, which is the car currently in second place, which is the Mathieu Vatsivière Ferrari, which will help Emmanuel Collard stay in second place. And then also the other car that's had the penalty is car 52. That's the Nicolas Joffre Ferrari. So three cars being pinged for pit lane speed limit by the race director Alain Adon, who those will know from the Fanatec GT World Challenge. And he does not. He's quite a hard taskmaster. He will do things by the book, and certainly doing so with those three drivers, whether it is a fun race or not. Rules are rules. And now diving up the inside for track position at least goes Charlie Somani and gets himself ahead of the Stuart Hall Aston Martin. There's the Ferrari. Now, yes, on track he is ahead, but I'm sure once the penalty gets applied, being quite a whopper, that being 90 seconds, it will put him behind. It will definitely put him behind Collard, so if not a little bit lower down. There goes Francois Perrodo. He's actually he is chasing down the Stuart Hall Aston Martin. This is actually going to be for position when this crops up. They've only got a couple of laps to go here, so Francois Perrodo's got his tail up, and he thinks now that he's got a sight of the Aston Martin, there's a chance he might be able to catch him. Here screen again goes Collard. Is he going to lock up into turn 14 once again? No, he doesn't. A rarity for Collard. Doesn't actually lock the front into turn 14. So he looks pretty comfortable in terms of where he is position-wise. And it still shows Vatsivière with... Right, okay, he might not show the penalties right now, but of course it's because they're going to apply them after the race. That's the reason why. So I imagine that Vatsivière will drop in the order behind Collard. And I imagine that even though they'll both have penalties, Collard will be back ahead of Vatsivière in terms of the result, even though the Ferrari is ahead of the Pescarolo at this point. Still watching Charlie Somani as he brings the Van Merkstein Porsche out of turn 10 into turn 11. There's that beautiful Ferrari as well. Across the line goes Andre Lotterer to start what will be his second to last lap, because remember the rule is 40 minutes plus 1 lap. So off this lap the time will hit 0, and then when it does, Lotterer will cross the line to start his final lap of the race. And then once he crosses the line the next time after that, checker flag will be out, and he will be just under 2 laps away now from potentially securing victory in this first GT and Prototypes 2000s race, which has actually been, in many cases, quite entertaining. I mean, let's forget the number of cars, of course. It is only the second year this event's been put on, but it's the first time this year that this class or category has been put into the Golf Historic, because last year it was solely the 80s Group C sports cars and the 70s almost kind of FIA historic F1 type machines like the Williams and the ATS and the Fittipaldis and everything else. But this is the first year that we've had for the second edition of Golf Revival, that we've added in the GTs and Prototypes for the 2000s, very much akin to what you'd see in Masters Endurance Legends and the Plethora Auto contest as well. And so Lotterer turns in to turn 10 now for the second to last time. And he looks as though he's pretty comfortable out in front at the moment. The Horag Racing Porsche, driven by Didier Tays, Freddie Leinhardt and Jan Lammers. It's chassis 9R6707, and it's quite a neat little combination is that the other Porsche RS Spider is the next one in line. It's chassis 9R6708, which is called the Van Merkstein car. So those two cars pretty much were simultaneously, if I've got the chronology right, will have simultaneously been put together and taken off the assembly line, shall we say, for Porsche RS Spiders. So they are essentially, if you want to call it the term, brothers in terms of chassis. You can see them back together again. They of course went off and did different things, raced for different teams. Now back together again on track. It looks as though Andre Lotterer is about to take his across the line to start the last lap of the first GT and Prototypes 2000s race, as he bobs his way down towards turn 1 and takes a neat racing line, just effortlessly just dips the car in through the first corner, clips the curve through turn 2. It's almost never-ending long right-hander for turn 3. You then flick left for turn 4, and then there's another almost longer, never-ending arc into turn 5, and then under brakes again, almost the straight line where you can for turn 6 to get the car anchored up. A bit of rear brake bias will help rotate the car if you trail braking into that corner. Now come back towards turn 7, again back on the brake, turn 7 and 8. It's kind of a double apex right-hander here. This slightly banked section, something called the bolt. Long back straight that allows the car to stretch their legs a little bit, just to get a bit more power and get to their top speed, and then back hard on the brakes again for turn 10. So in terms of the winner, that seems to be indisputable. I think for second and third and fourth, what's intriguing now that the time penalties are coming in, particularly Melville Collard, although Collard is dropped to 5th position. Whether that's just because of his penalty, I presume it is. But he's now dropped to 5th in the result. This now puts Mathieu Vatsivière into 2nd, but he'll have a 90-second penalty to apply to his time. So I think I'm confident. I think that will mean that we'll have 2 GT cars finishing 2nd and 3rd, if that's correct. I'll look at the final result once those penalties have fully been applied to all the cars that need to receive them. But I think the 2 GT cars that are currently 3rd and 4th, the Stuart Hall, Jordan Grosjean, Aston Martin is in P3 at the moment, and Francois Perrodo's Maserati 4th, and that gap is 3.2 seconds. We'll certainly settle who's going to be where on the podium for 2nd and 3rd in the moment, but for the winner, absolutely no doubting about Andre Lotterer. Bit of a shaky start, but he got back towards the front in the pit stops, never looked back, and he will head to the checkered flag as the winner of the first ever GT Prototypes 2000 race at the Dubai Autodrome at Gulf Historic. He raised his finger in celebration. P1 for Andre Lotterer. He wins the first race for GT and Prototypes from the 2000s here at Dubai Autodrome at Gulf Historic. Jack Leconte also coming across the line to finish off in 8th in the Celine. Now we've got to figure out the question, who exactly is going to be 2nd place, because I don't think it's going to be Mathieu Vatsivière, and I don't think it's going to be Manuel Collard either, because Manuel's dropped down to 5th, so it might well be 2nd and 3rd. They're going to go to the 2 leading GT cars, that being the Aston Martin and the Maserati. We'll see here, at least on track, it will be Mathieu Vatsivière that will come through. Next across the line is going to be the Charlie Samani Van Merkstein Porsche. If you're in the grandstands, give them a cheer and a round of applause, guys, because they do deserve it. What a fantastic display from everyone involved. If you're around the circuit, do give them a clap and a wave, because they're all here mainly for the entertainment of everyone here at Dubai Autodrome. They do deserve it. Across the line for the car, which we think might end up in 2nd, is the Stuart Hall and Jordan Grosjean Aston Martin. And next behind him, a few seconds back, is the car we think might end up in 3rd, which is the Vitaphone Maserati MC12s. That could be Francois Perrodo finishing overall in 3rd position. Looking at some of the penalties here. Collard's definitely dropped to 6th in the end, behind Charlie Samani's Porsche after its penalty. The timing screen here, as you see the Ferrari screaming its way past the pits and darts up to the pit wall to say thank you to the crew. So the timing screen at the moment shows Andre Lotterer, unsurprisingly, as the winner. Then Mathieu Vatsivière, I think possibly was that far behind, that far behind the Porsche, but also that far ahead. But that gives him 2nd place in the result, which is interesting. And then it's changed around again, because now it's gone to Stuart Hall and Jordan Gregor, 3rd in the Aston Martin. 4th has now gone to Francois Perrodo out of all of that. I'm looking on my timing screen here in the commentary box. 5th has gone to Charlie Samani in the Porsche. 6th to Nicolas Joffre. 7th in the end to Manuel Collard after all those penalties and dramas in the pit lane. 8th to Jacques Lecomte. And 9th to Olivier Huez, rounding up the top 9 finishers. So once again, big thank you to everyone who's been here today. Of course, in terms of the track action for cars, that does call it a day. So there's still the exciting bicycle race between the drivers that's to come later on very shortly. So if you want to see a bit of fun for that, stick around to watch that here at the circuit as the sun starts to go down here at Dubai in late afternoon, or their summer at least here in Dubai. And still one car to come through actually and finish the race. It looks like it's going to be the 3rd placed Pescarolo, although whether he comes straight into the pit lane or whether he decides to go across the line and finish that way remains to be seen. But he's the only car shown on the screen on the left that hasn't actually crossed the line and taken the flag. So, of course, those who are either here tomorrow or might be watching tomorrow's coverage of the Gulf Historic, you can watch it either on motorsport.tv, you can watch it back of all the racing in action today, plus you can also watch it back on YouTube as well. But for those who are watching, they've got 3 more of the same races for tomorrow. The GT and Prototype 2000 will be out for their 2nd race later in the afternoon. So, of course, will be the Group C sports cars from the 1980s and, of course, the Formula 170s race. And there will also be one more demonstration run, which we might be able to bring you as well, from the 1990s F1 cars too, which has been quite sensational. We saw 1 or 2 shots of the Benetton B192. I think the only car we haven't seen out just yet is the 1996 Benetton B196, which should be driven this weekend by Nicolas Prost, of course, the son of 4-time Formula 1 world champion Alain Prost, who is here this weekend. And I know that Sahel caught up with him earlier on, and there's been such a buzz of attention around Alain for unsurprising reasons, being the Formula 1 legend that he is. And amazing to have him here as well, helping us celebrate this 2nd ever running of Gulf Historic. So the unique thing about the podium here at the Gulf Historic is that they bring them through the pit, through the garages, into the paddock, and there's a special spot where you might have seen for both the GTs, the Group C sports cars and the Formula 1 cars that we've seen racing. They'll stop them on this little red carpet section just outside the main podium, which doubles up as a stage for performances, for music and for performers that we've had all through the weekend so far. So they'll stop them there. Almost literally giving the top 3 the red carpet treatment here at the Gulf Historic, and also they've been using that lane as a bit of an exit point for cars to drive through when they're on the way to the grid, out of the garages or out of the awnings, and that's what makes it a little bit more special. It gives a bit more grandeur to these cars to these drivers that are going out for the grid, but they're kind of lining the runway for the cars to go down, and it adds to the grandeur and the spectacle of an event like this, which is pretty amazing. So there goes the Ferrari 333 SP. Plenty of cars, plenty of people being attracted to that car. There goes another Ferrari. There's the 550 GTS of Nicolas Joffre. And I dare say that people have plenty of their favourites over the weekend, which is going to be pretty superb. Well, as we say, this pretty much concludes the track action. Of course, we'll bring you the podium segment in a moment. But of course, we've got the Andre Lotterer Porsche has pulled up in its special victory lane, and Andre Lotterer already out of the car. And I think we can now cut to the stage audio now to have a bit of a chat from our top 3 drivers to hear them on stage. Let's cut down to that now.
And on the podium this time for winning the GT class. What a lineup of drivers we've seen so far here in Dubai. It's just incredible. And look at the cars. They're just more than iconic. This Porsche LMP2 Spider car. It was really, really a famous car for winning LMP2 in Le Mans and also for winning numerous races in America, in the American Le Mans series at the time, fighting against the Audi turbocharged cars. Fantastic. And this Aston Martin DBR9 is just incredible in Gulf colors. So what do you think we're bringing to you this weekend? Quite a lot of great cars and great drivers. Very soon we're going to have them on the podium. Of course, we're waiting for the drivers in P2 and P3. But maybe we can have a few words from André Lotterer. Has he just arrived? Are you okay, André? Well, not an easy victory because you had a problem. I think you went down to P5 at some moment of the race.
Yeah, at the start, yeah. I mean, this car's lap time is done in the corners, not in the straight line. So I took it easy in the first corner because, you know, it's not my car, it's my friend's car. So I didn't want to risk too much. And then I knew that it's fun for the race, you know.
So what happened when you had a problem, a spin or something, no?
No, they passed me on the straight and then he braked a bit later, so I ended up 4th, 5th, and then I passed them again, so no spin, no.
Just to bring us a little bit of show?
Yeah, exactly, and then I was playing, we had a bit of fun with Emmanuel Collard. He was fast on the straight, I was fast on the corner, so yeah, we had some fun, yes.
And that was LMP1 against LMP2, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like back in the days, you know, I hear all the stories from these in the low category beating the high category cars, so it still does today.
That was a fantastic storytelling of this Porsche Spider. Thank you very much, André Lotterer. I will remind you that this guy raced in Formula 1, especially in Spa-Francorchamps, of course. One race, but what a race. And he took 3 victories alongside his good old friends. Can you remind us of your teammates, Benoit and...
Marcel Fassler, yeah.
Marcel Fassler and Benoit Trellier. Thank you so much. It was the Audi era in Le Mans that took so many victories in the World Championship in the Le Mans 24 Hours and also the other side of the Atlantic. So we also have, we have our 2 GT drivers, so we can meet them also with Stuart Hall who crossed the finish line. So Stuart, let's turn around this way. Stuart, how was the car? How was the fantastic Aston Martin?
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? It looks good, it sounds good, and it goes good. So, yeah, everyone's a winner.
And you look good and you sound good?
That's the moustache. I grew it for today, especially.
So how was the car after Jordan Gregor drove it in the beginning of the race? At the beginning of the race?
Awful.
When he destroyed the tires, the brakes?
If you ever want a teammate, don't choose Geordie. He just went too hard, too fast. No. Jokes aside, you know, this is an amazing event. Geordie's my teammate at Rothgo, and you know, we've shared a lot of cars together. There's a lot of trust with each other. But you know, I think congrats goes to the guys, Fred, PB, and all their team organising this incredible event. You know, it's quite special. You know, to come out here at the end of an amazing season's racing. We're all drivers and everything like that, and you know, to come out here and celebrate and race these wonderful cars. Have some great parties in the evening, you know, bring our families, etc. It really doesn't get any better, you know, truly grateful.
Don't tell anybody. Thank you, Stuart, but we've seen him twice since this morning. So he was second with the Porsche with his other friend, Roll Good, and this time winning the GT class. So we go to Jordan Groger. So Jordan, is Stuart your favorite teammate?
Well, I didn't leave the good tires for him, let's be honest. In all seriousness, I echo Stuart's sentiment. Thank you to everyone for being here. What a pleasure to drive such iconic cars at home in Dubai. I've been fortunate enough to have raced with Fred and GPX for many, many years. And when Fred says he's going to do it, he does it right. So a big thank you to Fred, GPX, PB, and everyone else.
Thank you, Jordan, but we will be nothing without the audience, and we have a fantastic audience this weekend. So are we going to go to the podium? No, not yet, because we're waiting for more drivers, because we have other drivers we are expecting here to join us and begin the podium ceremony. So for now, maybe I can talk to Pierre Brice, because you are mentioned, you know, all these guys mentioned you. So Pierre Brice, tell us who you are.
Actually, I'm managing director of GP Extreme, and we organized with Fred the Gulf Historic for the 2nd edition this year.
And what are you going to do next year?
Next year, we want to do the same, but bigger, actually.
I'm sure it will be. And but there must be a secret. How can you attract such iconic cars and fantastic drivers?
you know, we just try to do something fun for the drivers and for the public, and I think this is working pretty well. The people having fun here in Dubai. The weather is perfect, you know, while the weather is not good in Europe. So it's a good moment of the relaxing moment for the people to come here and to race in Dubai Autodrome. I think that's the key, to have fun.
Thank you, Pierre Brice. And to finish, to introduce our friend Pierre Brice to you. He drove also an Aston Martin DBR9. This was a GT3 version, but he took it to the finish in the Spa 24 Hours. And here in the Middle East, you took the European Championship runner-up title, didn't you, Pierre Brice?
Yeah, that's correct. That was 2008, actually. I came here to race with the Aston Martin DBR9, and I was vice-European champion FIA GT3. Actually, we didn't race the second race because the track was flooded.
The track was flooded?
Yes, exactly. So it rained so much, so we didn't race the second race, which is quite unexpected when you're in Dubai. But we had some good times. Was quite some time ago, but I have good memories from here.
When do you expect some rain tomorrow? And do all these teams have wet tires?
I really do not expect some rain. I really hope it's not going to rain. I think we're quite safe on this side.
That's fantastic. Our drivers here for podium ceremony. Pierre Brice, can you see them arrive, or are we?
I think it's good if you can call them. If the driver can come, I think some are running now, so I think they're coming. There was some penalties, I think, so there might be a confusion, but yeah,
sorry, I see Olivier Huez. He's all red. He's a French driver. I must be very happy to join the podium ceremony. Maybe, yeah, I've seen it on the race control network. So maybe we're going to have some surprises for this podium. But now we have Mathieu Vaxivière joining. Maybe we're going to have a chat with him. Do you think can you tell me when you have our top three drivers in prototypes or GT? Okay. Mathieu Vaxivière driving the fantastic Ferrari 333 SP. Maybe you've seen it and heard it. So Mathieu, sorry, excuse me, Jordan. He's one of the stars of the prototype category. You know, he drove the Ferrari. What was the number of the car? You don't remember, never mind. So Mathieu, I introduced you to Mathieu Vaxivière, one of the stars in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. He was 33 times on the podium, am I right?
Yeah, correct.
Class victory or overall, I can't remember.
No, overall P3 and then class victory in LMP2, yes.
Fantastic. Mathieu Vaxivière is from France, from the Limoges. Limoges is very nice. You should go to Limoges for your holiday, don't you think, Mathieu?
Yeah, I think it's take some fresh air during the winter. It's pretty cool.
It's very green.
Really, really green. So no, it's a beautiful city in the middle of the France. So it's quite good to take some rest. For sure, it's a bit smaller than Dubai, for sure.
And how about this Ferrari? It's screaming. It's a fantastic engine, which was a development from Formula One engine. What can you tell about this car?
The engine definitely was. It's the highlight of the car, I think. I know that I have all my chance at the start because I have a lot of power, so I try. But I think I take a penalty. No, it was really good fun to drive this car without power steering. I think this is my main complaint.
No power steering for you, Mathieu?
No power steering, so it's a good preparation for the championship next year for sure. But no, I really enjoy. I have a lot of pleasure with all the boys, and yeah, it's pretty funny to drive without pressure, and we all around the circuit with the friends, so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
You mentioned next year's championship. Is it the FIA WEC?
Yeah, I don't know yet, but I guess I will be in the car. I hope, so we will see.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have another guest here. It's Olivier Huez, and I'm very happy to see him here because, you know, I was a Formula 4 driver before. He was a Formula 4 driver now. So now he succeeded to take part in a meeting like this, and I'm just on the microphone. So congratulations, Olivier. How was the car with your Lola, the blue Lola? You've seen it before. I think you've seen it on the track.
Car was really fine. I discovered it, so I tried to improve each time I race it, and it was very nice. It's a very nice track here. It was I enjoy.
It's nice, Olivier, that you appreciate. I think we got a lot of people here. Are they all? We can begin with the GT. If all the GT cars are here, what do you think? And I've seen Nicolas. Nicolas Joffre is also here. Nicolas, can you please introduce yourself? You're not just as famous as André Lothaire. You agree with that? Yeah. So where you come from, and are you what we call an amateur driver?
Yeah, it was my first race. So.
Hey, we got champions, but we also have rookies.
Yeah, but it was really nice. So I'm happy, and thank you to Francois who gave me the car for this race. So, my friend, thank you for this big pleasure.
So the car was the Ferrari, I think. Oh, that's nice. That's emotional. It was the Ferrari 550 Maranello, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a GT1. It's a
Oh, your first race, you're quite a lucky man.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
And you will have a lot of job to do, and because normally he's used to be our physio, so you still need to do some work tonight.
Good luck to the physio. And now we turn to Francois Perraudot. Please come a little bit so that the audience can see you, Francois. So, Francois, you've done Le Mans so many times, maybe 10 times, no, or almost?
I've done it 10 times, yes.
Oh, exactly. So good. And why were you motivated to come here and join us in Dubai this weekend?
Well, I saw the pictures and the videos from last year. I saw some really nice cars, great organizers, nice atmosphere, great fans, nice people. So, of course, I gave it a shot, and definitely worth it.
And you drive this incredible Maserati. What do you think? It's a former Spa winner, I think, 24 hours?
So, yeah, the car won the Spa 24, not this chassis, but I think this chassis was world champion in FIA GT. Oh, yeah. So it's amazing. It's an iconic car, derived from the Enzo Ferrari, proper supercar. So hard to drive, super physical.
What do you mean?
I'm exhausted. I mean, there's no ABS, there's no traction control. I've got no more arms. The pedals are hard. There's a shifter. I've got blisters. I'm so happy I'm driving modern race cars now.
But will you be fit for the bicycle race that will take place after this one?
I'm not sure.
Well, I wish you will. So thank you very much. Can you congratulate and give a round of applause for all our drivers? Thank you. They're almost all here. And I see Jacques Leconte is here too. Okay, I got the final results, which is good. Hey, nice. I can go for the podium now? Okay, so we go for the podium. So I'm the first one to step on this stage to welcome for the prototype category the driver in third position. It is excuse me. Okay, there were penalties, that's the reason why. So it's Charlie. Is Charlie there? I haven't discussed with Charlie so far. Charlie Samani? Charlie Samani is running, rushing to the podium. So Charlie just got enough time to adjust your suit, your overalls, to be good looking on the podium, please. You collect your you got two caps. You got two caps. You got one on your head and one in your hands. Enfile ta combi. We're going to give him just a little more time to wear his overalls properly. Yeah, that's good. Charlie drove one of these incredible Porsche Spider, didn't you? Yes, and so you go straight to the third step of the podium, Charlie Samani. And so in second position, we just chatted with him. It's Mathieu Vaxivière. Driving the fantastic Ferrari 333 SP. And our winner for this prototype race is André Lotterer, the three-time Le Mans winner, former Caterham F1 driver. He's going to step on this podium for pleasure. Congratulations, André. So this is the winner's race for André. Fantastic. That's amazing. No, we've got people to give you the trophies, please, André. So we will ask to Rita Mejdi to join us to present the trophy for the third finisher. Please, thank you, Rita. Please give a round of applause to Rita Mejdi, representing RM Sotheby's. Yeah, she's the senior consultant, Middle East and Africa. consultant. Thank you. So you can pick up this trophy and give it to Charlie, please, afterwards. Woohoo! Thank you, Rita. You are the best. And so for the second position trophy, we will ask to our friend Kalim Bouagra to join us for Rebellion Time Paces. And he's going to give the second place trophy to Mathieu Vaxivière. Is it okay? And we just have one more trophy. It is for the winner, and you, Fred, you're going to be on the podium with us. Fred Fathian, founder of GP Extreme, for the first position trophy. Congratulations to the drivers and to Fred also for setting up this incredible meeting. Thank you, Fred Fathian. Now it's time for a fizzy moment. You can take the bottles and use them the way you want. Thank you. Please, one more round of applause for pre-drivers. Won the prototype category.
Fantastic stuff from our GT and prototypes, including our overall top three. These are in the prototypes we saw there for Andre Lostra, Mathieu Vaxivière, and Charlie Samani in third place. And it being, I think, rosewater rather than champagne. It's not quite as fizzy as the as actual fizz, but the top three are top step of the podium, all celebrating together. Andre Lostra, Mathieu Vaxivière and Charlie Samani, your prototype top three. GT top three looks to be Stuart Hall and Jordan Grogor, Francois Perraudot and Nicolas Joffre in the end. So let's see if we can look at some of the highlights from that race. It wasn't quite the best start for Andre Lostra. It was a better jump for Emmanuel Collard. But he was found to have jumped the start at the beginning. On the sprint down towards turn one, it was Collard versus Vaxivière, Pescarolo versus Ferrari, and you see there the red and white Porsche was getting swamped by both Charlie Samani and the fast-starting Aston Martin DBR9, which had Jordan Grogor at the wheel. The Aston Martin up to third place at one point as it was battling amongst the Porsche prototypes. The early scrap saw Emmanuel Collard versus Mathieu Vaxivière battling over the positions, while Nicolas Joffre settled in his ex-BMS Scuderia Italia Ferrari 550. Eventually, Andre Lostra managed to find pace, started chasing after the leader, whilst a fantastic scrap for third developed between the Ferrari of Vaxivière and the second Porsche of Samani. These two went back and forth all the way through the first part of the race before the pit stops, with both Lostra and Collard putting on a fantastic display, as you also saw a change of position as Nicolas Joffre went round the outside of the Jacques Lecomte Celine S7. More battles going on for third as the leaders went through the traffic, putting past some great lappery, as Collard managed to get himself back through the Collard Pescarolo better in the straights, whilst the Porsches were better in the corners. Likewise for the Ferrari, better as it was trying to pull away from Samani as others happened. As the pit stops came on, the penalties start to come in, one in particular going to Emmanuel Collard, a 30-second penalty for in particular a penalty for Collard for a start infringement, so that put him down to eventually 7th in the results. But now, what's out in front, there was absolutely no stopping Andre Lostra who can continue to extend the advantage. Olivier Hughes was having fun in his 2000 Lola, but towards the end there was a great scrap between Stuart Hall, now at the wheel of the Aston Martin, and the Vitaphone Maserati of Francois Perraudot, both moving past the Jacques Lecomte Celine S7. More fast lappery from Andre Lostra pushed him through. Another big dive up the inside saw the Stuart Hall car put some more laps on the Ferrari. Towards the end, the old track battle was between the Ferrari and the Pescarolo, between Vaxivière and Emmanuel Collard. But at the end, towards the checkered flag, it was three-time Le Mans winner Andre Lostra who took victory in the GT and Prototype category. Fantastic stuff. Let's go back to the podium to have a look at our GT top three.
Yes, this is a trophy for Nicolas. For our friend Nicolas Joffre, who finished third in the GT class. Congratulations, Nicolas. Thank you, Rita, for helping us, for helping me. And then for the second position trophy, no, I'm sorry, Karim, it's Fred this time. Yes, Fred Facien will give the second place trophy to our friend François Perraudot in this final race, car race for today, but we have the bicycle race afterward. Thank you, Fred, founder of GP Extreme. And Kalim Bodra is joining us this time to award the winner of this race, give him his trophy. Or two drivers, or two winners, or twin winners. They're going to share this trophy. Thank you, Kalim Bodra. Thank you to Kalim for Rebellion timepieces. And congratulations to Stuart Hall and Jordan Grogor, who won at the wheel of this fantastic Aston Martin DBR9 V12 engine on this car. Yes, they deserve it. They deserve your love. Sorry. So now, after this fizzy moment, thank you. We will please ask, François. We will have a picture with all the drivers who have a trophy. So 6 drivers or 7 drivers. Yeah. Come and join us, and we have a picture of all the GT and prototype drivers on the same picture. Thank you. Thank you, André. And we will see them all tomorrow again for the second race in this Dubai GT Revival. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you another round of applause. I ask you for another round of applause, and we will turn our attention to bikes. Jordan, are you going to take part in the bicycle race?
For sure.
Stuart, are you going to take part in the bicycle race?
I'm still tired from the Tour de France.
And you should do Paris-Roubaix too. Is a very good race.
Yeah, sounds it.
And we know the Brits are getting stronger and stronger on 2 wheels, so I will have a look at you. Thank you. See you after these 2 laps of the Dubai circuit. That's what we're going to have now to finish the day. A 2-lap race around the Dubai Autodrome for bikes. And it's, these bikes, especially purchased by GP Extreme Gulf Historic, they are bikes of the 1970s. So we stick to the theme of the weekend. Our motto was make some noise. I guess you're not going to make just as much noise with the bike, but it's going to be fantastic. So thank you very much to you all, and see you tomorrow.